Alright guys, I've tried to make this video a few times. It got really long, so I am just going to get right to the nitty gritty of things. So I know anytime the news gets crazy or whatever, my messenger always blows up. So I wanted to make a video. I know I've done videos on radio comms, stuff like that. This video is specifically for Jefferson County, Missouri. So obviously I want you guys to share this stuff for the people that, when they share it and they have no clue who I am. My name is Tim. I'm a firearms instructor here in Jefferson County. We also teach emergency preparedness. We teach medical, and I also teach off-grid radio comms. Now, with this being said, I am part of the Jefferson County Amateur Radio Club. So if you want to get deeper into this, this is a invaluable resource. Tons and tons and tons and tons of very experienced people in here. Now, my role in this is I help with their emergency communications. So that's what this whole packet is protocols, scripts, stuff like that. If it's a emergency, to help first responders, to help firefighters, to help this, that, etc. But the purpose of this video is for the public, the normal people that don't have a ham radio license, not first responders. How are you guys going to get your information, your updates? Like I said, I'm skimming over the top of a lot of information and rules and all that kind of stuff. We put together a 2-day radio class, and that is barely touching the surface. So there's going to be a lot of subjects that I don't touch on this. This is going to be a very entry level, whether you have a radio and you don't know what to do next, or you don't even know what radio to buy. So first things first, I want to talk about line of sight. I am not an artist, so I just drew a bunch of hills and valleys here. We're going to say this is me. Now, we practice this emergency protocol once a month. I can reach all the way from my place here in DeSoto, past Farmington, and all the way to South St. Louis. Now, with that being said, these are other radio operators with towers and good antennas and a lot of power, battery backups, etc., etc., etc. So that doesn't mean that you're going to be able to hear that far, or hear me that far, or whatever, especially if you're running on a little handheld versus high powered, high priced equipment. So the best way to make a little normal radio like this work is elevation. So if I'm at a low elevation, my line of sight is being blocked by whatever, hills, buildings, etc., etc. So getting to a high elevation. Now, this doesn't mean the highest elevation on your property. It might have to be in your town. So while the grid is up, use your topographical maps, whatever it is that you have. Find a place of extreme high elevation. That is going to make a world of difference. We say in radio, have elevation. If you can't have elevation, have power. Power costs money. Elevation is free. So find a place of very, very high elevation. Now, operator as myself that has HF radios and digital capabilities and stuff like that, I can get information and updates and news, etc., from different counties, different states, different countries, different continents, the opposite side of the globe. These things take practice, take skill, and they take a lot of equipment. So how does somebody with a $30 Baofeng get this information? Sorry, I was getting a phone call. So the main point of this is I'm going to take whatever information I get from other counties, other states, etc., and relay that out in my little circle that I can reach. and we'll just say, let's say a 20-mile radius from DeSoto. And that's if you're at the same elevation. So what do I listen to? You would turn your radio on to MERS 1. The frequency for that is 151.820. And we would relay any information that we're able to receive out on a local level. Why is this important? Imagine you wake up and your car doesn't start, the grid's down, your cell phones don't work, whatever it is. Obviously I'm making this video because of everything that's going on in the world right now and the threats and the conversations that I'm having with other people. I wanted to make a very short video for this county that you guys can spread, but obviously this can be done anywhere. Now, like I said, that frequency 151.820. Now, if you have no radios at all, I wanted to talk about this Baofeng. Now, obviously this is like the entry level radio. It is as cheap as it can get. So with a cheap radio, obviously you're not going to get amazing results. So it can absolutely go up from here, hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars, but this is something budget friendly that anybody can start with. And I like to always kind of get people to start in this place. So if I get a base station later on, or I get something in my vehicle or whatever it is, I'm never going to outgrow this, because if I'm walking around on my property, if I walk away from that base station, if I walk away from that vehicle, whatever it is, I still have this that I can take with me. So this is something that you won't outgrow, and it's $30. The older model was the UV5R. The big difference in this newer model, this is the Baofeng AR-5RM. That's Alpha Romeo -5 Romeo Mike. One thing that this does that the other one does not do is it receives the airband. You can only receive, you can't transmit on it. Why is this important? We learned this in the after action reports from Hurricane Helene in North Carolina. Now, they had helicopters and assets in the air that were doing stuff, and the people on the ground had no way to hear anything like that. So having airband capability, depending on what kind of an emergency it is, how local it is, etc., could be very important. Now, that frequency that I gave you is a MERS frequency, and they have MERS radios. Now, with those radios are limited to 2 watts. And they're not allowed to have removable antennas, all that kind of stuff. I kind of mentioned at the beginning of this video because I don't want it to get long. I'm not going to go into all the details and laws and stuff like that. So technically, is it illegal to use a radio like this on some of these frequencies? Technically, yes. But we're talking extreme emergencies, grid down, etc. Nobody's going to be giving you a fine for little stuff. So like I said, we're not going down that rabbit hole. But with a radio like this, not only can I hear the air bands, I can access MERS, I can access walkie-talkies, I can access GMRS. There's a lot of different things I can do with one radio. I don't want to have 3 radios to complete one task when I can have one radio that can do it all. A big point on these is the way that we charge them. With these newer ones versus the older ones, I can charge this with a cell phone charger, USB-C. So obviously, how am I going to charge it? You're going to have some kind of solar, battery, inverter, something like that. But like I said, we're not going deep down other side rabbit holes. We're just focusing on entry-level stuff. So the next biggest upgrade is going to be the antenna. So whether I'm at low elevation or I want because the house, your vehicle, all that kind of stuff is going to interfere with the signal, being outside is best. It might not be always safe to go outside. So if I have an antenna set up on my roof, something portable that I can put up easily and take down, put it in a backpack, take it with me, versus having all these different kind of whips and the folding antennas and all that kind of stuff, something like this is going to be superior. I can have X amount of coax, have this antenna, get this thing 30 something feet up into a top of a tree, and then if I can get to high elevation and then get this thing in 30 feet into the air, it's really going to make this $30 10 watt radio actually have a good way to receive, at least receive, emergency information. Now, that doesn't mean because you can hear me crystal clear that I'm going to be able to hear you. Because, you know, like I said, we're on an improvised system with low power. But if everything's done right, I have had these tiny little radios go 40 something miles. But that's because I know how to use them. So they take a little bit of training. I will, because links, things sell out, all that kind of stuff, I'm just going to take a couple of screenshots and I'm going to add them to the end of this video. So having a radio like this, some kind of an antenna like this, getting to high elevation, and then listening on that frequency, I would be able to relay important information to Jefferson County. Now, like I said, without trying to make this too long, if I can get other HF radio operators just outside of my area, a county to the north, county to the east, county to the west, county to the south, etc., now I can share all my information with them. They can share all their information with me. And we can get a larger footprint of information. Are there people that are raiding and they're heading in our direction? Is there a big storm coming? Is there relief on the way, etc., etc.? This kind of information helps you to make the decisions that could save your life. If it's going to be help's coming farther away than you thought it was going to, then you know you're going to need to start rationing or whatever it is, or help is on the way. All of these things are going to be crucial in a grid down emergency. So I made this video because what happened last night, I got a lot of messages, phone calls, stuff like that. So I wanted to put something out that was going to get a lot of people up to speed, and then we can kind of branch off. So if you're somebody that has radio equipment, that has the skill and the knowledge, especially in HF and digital, hit me up, because we want to grow this hub and spoke plan that I have to connect larger areas together. To the people that are just getting started, you know, like what do the buttons do, this, that, like there's lots and lots and lots of videos on YouTube and other sources. One other thing that I do want to add to this is I'm also a part of another radio club that is called AMRON. And AMRON is a nationwide for the United States emergency preparedness group, and we practice this every Thursday night. So I've been doing this for a couple of years. This is their plan, not mine. And I am just letting you guys know that if you live within Jefferson County, until you get to the outskirts of it or whatever, you can get updates with, you know, maybe less than $100 worth of radio equipment that could make or break your decision making, whatever it is. And then if you want to go deeper down this rabbit hole, there's endless amounts of resources, stuff like that. So I'm trying to keep this video short, so I'm going to go ahead and cap it here. But share this to everybody in Jefferson County. Send me friend requests, stuff like that, if you want to keep going down this rabbit hole. Obviously, I have a construction job that I do, and I have a teenage daughter. So, and on top of owning a firearms business, stuff like that, I get an insane amount of phone calls anytime something bad happens. So be patient with me. It takes me a while to answer a lot of messages. So I like to do things that are going to answer a lot of questions all at once. So other than that, like I said, I'm not trying to scare anybody, just getting emergency plans and protocols. Like I said, I've been practicing this stuff for years. I'm good to go. I'm trying to help you guys catch up to speed. See ya.